Welcome to Mr. Frank's Neighborhood, aka the Cold War. Let's do this. Few promises. This will shock some people. Keep these under 11 minutes. Okay. Make it a little more convenient for you guys. Couple reminders for those who did not watch the first introduction video. This is what the requirements are. Watch the video. Fill out the Google form sheet and submit it. Please make sure you submit both sheets by 11:59 on Friday for full credit. If you have questions, please ask. Please come to Zoom conference meetings. Always great. Good things to talk about. I might require at least one. We'll see. I haven't decided on that. I got some notes written down here. So, when you go to the Google form, remember you answer the essential question. If there's some multiple choice questions, you answer those as well. Those are never very difficult, just to kind of make sure that we have some big picture stuff taken care of. And then come up with two questions. One question related to the content. Second question, more of a funny, random off-topic question. Let's do it. Okay, so we're talking about the Cold War. I know on the sheet it says the current events class. Current events are ambiguous. I didn't like how it went second quarter. And because I'm Mr. Frank, I'm going to change it up. The Cold War is arguably the most important historical event of the last 50 years. The Cold War impacts everything we do, basically, here in this country, so it's a pretty big deal. On top of that, maybe more important than that, it might be the single most interesting thing you ever learn about in any class other than America at War. But the two kind of go hand in hand with each other, so it works out pretty well. Your essential question is this, and it'll be again on the essential question sheet. Why is it important to study the Cold War? So, I'm going to give you guys a couple of reasons why, and then I'm going to kind of outline how this class is going to work, because I think the best way to do this is to tell the Cold War like a story. So that's what we're going to do. This is the prelude to it. Next video will be Act 1, because we have to set the scene. Because the Cold War really is, if you break it down, it is the coolest, most interesting, most exciting, most dramatic, most action-packed movie ever created. There's a reason why they haven't really made one single movie on the Cold War, because there's so much stuff going on, you couldn't fit it into one movie. It has something for everyone, and I think that's why you guys will very much enjoy this class. Cold War, fascinating stuff. So, why is this thing so important? First, let's get some basics down. What is the Cold War? The Cold War is the struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union from about 1945 to about 1991. Even though some historians would say we're still dealing with Russia today and the Cold War never really ended, but officially history books will put those as the years. The Cold War basically plays out on a lot of different fronts, but here's the reasons why we study it today. Okay, 1, military impact. Certainly, the military we see today is a direct result of the Cold War. Prior to 1945, the United States traditionally had never a very large army, and in times of war, we would quickly rebuild, and then when the war was over, we'd quickly break it down. That's actually what we did after World War II, and you're going to see how that leads to some problems. After 1947, we never have another small military really in American history. Now, sometimes it's underfunded, and sometimes it's not well coordinated by politicians, but certainly the military has been fairly large since then. Well, that's the result of the Cold War. Why do we have so much, put so much money into military technology? Cold War. We had to keep ahead of the Russians and the Chinese. Why do we have such extensive training programs? Cold War. The Vietnam War is part of the Cold War, and the lessons we learned in Vietnam are things we still take and use today. Why do we spend so much money on intelligence and intelligence gathering for military? Well, the Cold War, because no one was better than the Russians at spying, so we had to keep up with them. And so we still see those impacts today in terms of how our budgets are constructed inside of government, but also in terms of how our military fights and why we continue to spend so much money on military on a day-to-day basis. Even look at military bases. Why do we have military bases across the world? Well, the Cold War. We had to be prepared for the Russians to attack these small countries that were not able to defend themselves. Why do you have our largest Air Force base in Ramstein, Germany? Cold War. Why do you have bases in South Korea? Cold War. Japan? Cold War. So a lot of our military fingerprints across the world are Cold War related. So that's one reason why maybe this Cold War is a really important thing to study. For you guys, I know you love math. You can thank the Cold War for that. You have 4 more years of math in high school. what happens in the 1950s is there's a thought that we're behind the Soviets in terms of technology and mathematics, and so the U.S. government kind of begins requiring students to take more math. One of the reasons why you have such a huge influx in new technology in the 1970s and 1980s, education system and the Cold War. So education and technology go hand in hand. Our education system increased their spending by billions of dollars. The reason why the federal government is involved in education is a result of the Cold War. So that's a huge impact that you guys see on a day-to-day basis when we were actually in school. Corona. Third, just talk about technology. Microprocessors, computers, the internet, cell phones. Those are all technologies that are developed during the Cold War for military purposes that end up getting used in the private sector. Those are all things we might not have without the Cold War. So that's a reason to study the Cold War. There's the cultural stuff. The Cold War changes the way Americans view themselves in the world. Prior to the Cold War, Americans were certainly proud to be Americans, but we were always seen as a country with a lot of potential, but not a superpower. The Cold War, we're a superpower. We're not just a superpower, we're the only country in the world that can actually stop the Soviet and communist aggression. And so you see this big rise in patriotism for periods of time. Now it ebb and flows, but certainly our view of ourselves in the world changed because of the Cold War. Other things though too, the Vietnam War is part of the Cold War. We've already talked about that in America at War, how the Vietnam War definitely changes American psyche for the worse. And we still deal with some of those ramifications today. So there's cultural changes that happen because of the Cold War. Even on the sports field, because we weren't actually fighting the Soviets officially in combat, we found other avenues to fight them. Arts, music, even chess. One of the biggest ones was sports though. And on the sporting field, we invested billions of dollars into athletic enhancement programs, training, just to beat the Soviets in the Olympics. So the Cold War touches all these different things. I think you guys will very much love this class, love the content of the class. I'll try to make it as straightforward as possible. Less 30-minute videos, if I can. We are well under the 11 right now. So choose one of those, what you think is the biggest reason why we should study the Cold War. Because the Cold War touches every aspect of American life from 45 to 91 and still touches most aspects of our life here today. Before we go, we have some questions from the question box. Let's see here. Ooh, a lot of questions. I'm randomly choosing this one. First question from Ryan B., 8th grader. Ryan B. Ryan asks, Mr. Frank, why does your hair look so good? Ryan, that's a great question. I'm just letting it go a little bit, and I think the results are very good. I think people are very much enjoying the direction the hair goes. Ultimately, this will lead to some type of mullet situation, and I think in the end, that's what we all need anyway. And that's good. Ryan, great question. Really on topic. I enjoyed that. We have time for one more question, and I'll pick this one. Very hard-hitting question here. This question is from Logan H. I don't know who that is. Logan Hilmer, maybe? I don't know. That's not a kid. That's not a real kid. I just made that kid up. Logan H. Question. Mr. Frank, how can I learn to grow facial hair like you? Well, Logan, thank you. That was a nice compliment. I'd like to thank the Hulk Hogan. What I'm rocking right now is bringing kids both hope and inspiration. It's a genetic thing. Maybe one day you guys will get your questions pulled from the random question box or a little shoebox I'm putting questions in. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy, hopefully sunshine. Not sunshine. Enjoy something. Get out, social distance, wash your hands. Until next time, it's a beautiful day in Mr. Frank's neighborhood. As I adjust the camera, it's not going well. We're never doing that again. That was awful. We're going to find a better way to do that. I had something planned for the end, and it's not working out the way I wanted it to. That's okay. We're going to adapt. We're going to overcome. We're just going to ignore that last 7 seconds happened. So we're just going to end like this. So have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the Cold War. Enjoy this class. Email me. Ask me questions. We're under 11 minutes by like 10 seconds. Awesome job. I think you guys will enjoy this. Have a good weekend, good week, whatever. When you watch this, America, #1.